The image of royal life is one of restraint, discipline, and duty. But for years, behind the gates of one Berkshire estate, a very different reality was unfolding. A reality now being laid bare in fresh detail, and one that helps explain how a senior royal figure became financially entangled with one of the most disgraced men of the modern era. Stay with us. This story is not about gossip. It is about excess, consequence, and what happens when personal conduct collides with the standards of the crown. Subscribe now for clear, factual royal updates delivered with context and authority. At the center of this unfolding account is Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York. Once married to Prince Andrew, Duke of York, she occupied a unique position within the royal family. Not a working royal in later years, yet never fully detached from royal privilege. And it was during this blurred chapter that her private lifestyle, long rumored, is now being described in extraordinary detail by those who witnessed it firsthand. The setting was Sunninghill Park, the former marital home of the Duke and Duchess of York, a 12-bedroom mansion near Ascot, Berkshire, built specifically for the couple and later known by its staff as a symbol of unchecked indulgence. What happened inside those walls, according to multiple accounts, went far beyond the trappings of comfortable royal living. By the mid-1990s, Sarah Ferguson had accumulated personal debts exceeding £3.7 million. Despite her royal status, her income did not match her spending, and according to later revelations, she increasingly relied on financial support from Jeffrey Epstein, a man whose crimes would later shock the world. The connection between the Duchess and Epstein has already caused lasting damage to the reputation of the House of York. But what is emerging now is the broader context. A pattern of behavior, a lifestyle that demanded constant cash flow, and a level of expenditure that staff describe as relentless. According to authors Chris Hutchins and Peter Thompson, who interviewed those employed at Sunninghill Park, the Duchess maintained a rigid set of personal requirements. Every item of clothing, including underwear, bras, and tights, was to be meticulously ironed by staff. If the laundry did not carry the precise scent of her preferred fabric conditioner, the entire wash would be rejected and ordered to be done again. This was not occasional fussiness, it was routine. Each night, 2 hot water bottles were placed beside her king-sized bed. Staff were instructed to measure the temperature of the water to ensure it met her exact preference. Every morning, freshly squeezed orange juice was required, prepared only as she sat down. If the juice had been made earlier, it was refused. Even food shopping reflected a scale detached from everyday reality. Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew were said to spend £300 a week on vegetables alone, purchased from Waitrose. Freezers were stocked with ice cream that was rarely eaten. Waste, according to staff, was common. Luxury extended even to the family dog. The couple's Jack Russell Terrier, Bendix, was reportedly served freshly cooked meals by staff. Liver, sausages, gravy. Nothing prepackaged, nothing ordinary. And while Prince Andrew became increasingly anxious about rising household costs, particularly energy bills, accounts suggest the Duchess routinely turned lights and heating back on after attempts to reduce usage. It was, according to one author, an act of defiance rather than oversight. These details matter because they illustrate a mindset, one shaped by expectation rather than restraint. And it did not stop at the gates of Sunninghill. In the summer of 1994, as debts mounted, Sarah Ferguson rented a villa near Cannes in the south of France. Domaine La Fontaine. The cost was £20,000. Despite being described as self-catering, the Duchess arrived with a full entourage: a butler, 2 housekeepers, a personal dresser, a nanny, a general assistant, and a close friend. Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, still young children at the time, were accompanied by 2 Scotland Yard protection officers. Additional assistants were flown in and out as needed. A truck was driven from England carrying sun loungers and swimming pool toys. 5 new telephone lines were installed at the property. Daily deliveries of wine followed: Laurent Perrier, Rosé, Champagne, Puligny-Montrachet, costing £50 a bottle, often opened, often left untouched. Entertaining during the trip included well-known figures from British public life: Pamela Stephenson, Billy Connolly, Sir David Frost, Roger Moore, Belinda Carlisle. The total cost of hosting reportedly exceeded £100,000. This was not a single indulgent holiday. It was emblematic of how the Duchess lived, and it stood in stark contrast to her growing financial dependence. Back at Sunninghill Park, the mansion itself became a monument to extravagance. The house featured a helicopter landing pad, a private cinema, a swimming pool, a pool room, 20 rooms dedicated to staff quarters. Annual security costs alone reached £300,000. Inside, builders installed a vast marble bathtub so large it earned the nickname HMS Fergie. The master bedroom contained a 4-poster bed beneath a mint green canopy and one of the largest walk-in wardrobes in the world, measuring 100 feet by 50. Rooms were filled with gifts, thousands of them: wedding presents, silver serving dishes, crystal glasses, hundreds of vases. One room, described as an Aladdin's cave, was stacked floor to ceiling with unopened boxes. Even the smallest details carried royal branding: towels, soaps, toilet paper, all embossed with the initials A and S. Yet by 1996, the marriage had ended. Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson divorced, though she continued to live at Sunninghill with their daughters until 2006. The house itself was eventually sold in 2007 for £15 million to a foreign billionaire, but the habits and the financial pressures did not disappear. By 2011, Sarah Ferguson accepted a £15,000 loan from Jeffrey Epstein. Later reporting revealed he had supported her financially for up to 15 years. He arranged accommodation for her in the United States. He was asked to fund flights for her and her daughters shortly after his release from prison. These were not isolated favors. They were part of a sustained relationship that now casts a long shadow over the royal family. Today, the consequences are becoming unavoidable. Prince Andrew has been stripped of his remaining royal roles and titles. He has been ordered by King Charles III to vacate Royal Lodge at Windsor. His association with Epstein has rendered him a liability to the institution. Sarah Ferguson now finds herself in a precarious position. According to those close to her, she faces a housing crisis, no permanent residence, few allies, and a reputation that has become increasingly difficult to separate from scandal. Friends have described her future as uncertain. Associations once taken for granted are no longer assured. In royal terms, this is isolation, and it is the direct result of choices made over decades. This story is not about mocking excess. It is about accountability. The monarchy operates on public trust. Titles, security, and privilege are granted on the assumption of conduct befitting the crown. When that balance breaks, consequences follow. The revelations from Sunninghill Park do more than shock. They explain. They show how a lifestyle built on constant indulgence can lead even a royal duchess into dangerous dependency. And they underline why the modern monarchy is drawing firmer lines than ever before. As the royal family continues to redefine its boundaries in the aftermath of scandal, stories like this serve as a warning. Status does not erase responsibility, and history, once written, cannot be undone. For continued, clear-eyed coverage of the British royal family, its decisions, and their consequences, subscribe now.